Hey guys, and welcome back to week 4. So I'm just going to go ahead and give you a brief rundown of what's going on this week. So for my Math 2 students, let me go ahead and put this right here. Okay, so today we are going over 5B, which deals with your percent application. So that is markup, markdowns, your sales tax, tip amount if you're dining somewhere, all that good stuff. Monday, we are going to be going through 6A, which is going to be dealing with algebraic expressions and one-step equations. You'll also see that the MyHRW for 6.1 is going to be the classwork grade that you have for next week. So that right there, that's in pink. On Tuesday, we're going to keep reviewing the 6A. So again, your algebraic expressions and one-step equations. Wednesday is your Khan Academy. I know a lot of you are having issues with trying to find specific units. Now, if you hit, actually I'm going to do a whole separate video for you guys for that, and I'm going to show you step by step of what's going on with that, how to find different units. Now, they may not be worded the same, but you should be able to kind of match the ones together. So this week we have algebraic expressions. And then Thursday is going to be another one of your discussion journal questions on expressions and equations, okay? So we are going to go ahead and get started today. So we are dealing with your markup and markdown amounts, okay? So let's say that I have a notebook and I buy it from wholesale for $1.50. Now, I want to sell it. But again, I'm not going to sell it for $1.50 because I don't get any profit from that, right? So I want to mark up this amount by 20%. That way I can at least get a little bit back for what I spent originally on the notebook. So before I can actually do that, I need to find what 20% of $1.50 is. So I can do right here, I can multiply it by the 20%. So by multiplying it by 20%, I need to change this percent to a decimal. And again, how do I do that? Yep, I'm gonna move that invisible decimal that's right here, I'm gonna move it 2 to the left. So that means that I'm gonna multiply $1.50 by 0.20. So 0, 0, 0, 0, 10, and then that gives me 3. Bring down everything. Now, I dealt with 1, 2, 3, 4 decimal places. So again, I'm gonna make that about here. So that tells me that 20% of $1.50 is gonna give me 30 cents. So then from there, I can take that original amount, so my $1.50, I'm gonna label that my original. And then I'm gonna add my 30 cents, which was my mark up, and that's gonna give me $1.80. So that is gonna be my retail sales price right here. So I have the markup amount, which is labeled as 30 cents, and then my new sales price, which is gonna be $1.80, okay? So let's go ahead and do another example here. So I'm gonna do one, let's say that I want to mark down, okay? So if when I was marking up, I added to my original, if I wanna mark down, what do you think I'm gonna have to do? You got it, I'm gonna have to subtract that amount from my original now. So let's say that I have a original amount of $65, okay? My little dollar sign. And I want to mark down, so I'm going to label that as my down arrow, 12%. So again, I need to first figure out what 12% of 65 is going to give me. So again, I'm going to multiply by the decimal version. So again, my invisible decimal is here, moved it over twice, so that gives me 0.12. I'm going to multiply, so this gives me 10. 6 times 2 gives me 12, plus the 1 gives me 13. Don't have anything here. 5 times 1 gives me 5. 6 times 1 gives me 6. So again, I'm going to add down. and then I dealt with 1, 2, 2 decimals, okay? Go ahead and move this out of here because it's not letting me push that forward. All right, so that means that I had that 12% of 65 is gonna give me $7.80. So that is my mark down amount, okay? So that means that I need to take that 65 and I'm gonna add in that 0.00 since this one has decimals. And I'm going to subtract the mark down value to get my new value. So my 0 is 0. Can't do this, so I'm gonna borrow the 1. This becomes 10. 10 minus 8 gives me 2. I'm gonna bring down my decimal. Can't do 4 minus 7, so again, I'm gonna borrow here. Gives me 5. 14 minus 7 is gonna give me 7. And then I'm gonna bring down the 5. So that tells me that after I've marked down the price of this original item that was $65, I marked it down by 12%, my new price was gonna be $57.20. So when you deal with markdown values, those are typically gonna be when something is on sale for a certain amount, or if you wanted to, again, like discount something, or if this was an original retail value, but I wanted to figure out what the wholesale value was. So I would mark it down to its wholesale value, okay? So remember that when you are reading these questions, because a lot of these questions are gonna be word problem based questions, you really need to pay attention to the details in the actual word problem so you know if you need to mark up or if you need to mark down, okay? So we are gonna go ahead and skip now to your percent applications, okay? So let's say that I start with a sale amount of $67.50. Now I'm gonna tell you guys now, I don't mind if you use the calculators at this point. Just remember that these could be items that are on future FSA problems that are non-calculator based. So you do need to know how to do these without a calculator, but again, for the time being, especially if it's multiple problems, like the HRWs and the Khan Academies, you're more than welcome to use a calculator. Just make sure you do know how to do these problems without a calculator and you're very sufficient at them, okay? So let's say that I start with a sales amount of $67.50. I need to add a 5% sales tax, okay? So think of that as a markup. So you're adding that to the original price, okay? So again, I need to find what that 5% of $67.50 is. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna show you guys a formula that you can use. So instead of having to figure that out and then add it in, or figure out the percent amount and then subtract it, you can use a formula. So real quick, before I even start this one, I'm just gonna put a line here. So whenever I'm dealing with a markup, okay, I'm gonna do 1 plus the rate, which your rate is always gonna be identified as your percent. I'm gonna do 1 plus that rate, and I'm gonna put in here as a decimal, okay? So that means that, let's say I was doing this one, I'm not adding 1 plus 5, I'm doing 1 plus 0.05. After I do that, I'm gonna multiply it by the original amount. Okay? So now we're gonna kind of use this formula in action for this equation right here. So again, I have 1 plus my rate as a decimal. So this 5% gets changed to a decimal of 0.05. I'm gonna do 1 plus 0.05. Put my parentheses, and then I'm going to multiply that by the original $67.50. Okay? So here I have, when I add these together, I get 1.05. And then again, I'm gonna multiply that by the 6750. So I'm gonna use my calculator because I've now run out of space. So I have 1.05 times 6750. That's gonna give me a new total of, and I'm gonna erase up here. So my new amount, or the total amount paid, is gonna be $70.88. Now, if you notice here in my calculator, hopefully you can see it, it says $70.70.875. So we know that when we're dealing with money, again, it only goes over the 2 decimal places. So that's why I rounded that 7 up 1, because again, you see that next number was a 5. So I took this 7, looked to the right, I had to round it up, so it gave me again the $70.88, okay? Now, you can use the same type of formula for markdowns, but what do you think the slight difference is gonna be? Yep, instead of adding to 1, I'm going to subtract it from 1, okay? So again, my markdowns, I have 1 minus my rate. Remember that that rate is going to be as a decimal. And then I'm going to multiply that by my original amount. Okay? So let's take one of these, for instance. Let's go back to one of our markdown values. So let's say that I had an original price of $119. And I'm marking it down 70%, okay? So original 119, my markdown is 70%. So remember that when we're putting that value in for your R or your rate, it has to be as a decimal, not as the percent. So I'm gonna do 1 minus 0.70, and then I'm gonna multiply that by the 119. Okay, so now I have 1 minus 0.70, which is going to give me 0.30. And then I'm going to multiply that by 119. So again, I'm going to use my calculator for it. So let me see if I can get it here for you guys to see. So 119 times 0.30. That's going to give me $35.70. So that means that after a 70% markdown, I'm gonna have a new value of $35.70. So you can use that formula again for your markup and markdowns. Just be careful with the wording that your word problems actually give you, okay? So again, if you have any questions regarding the lesson videos, please make sure to hop on to the office hours. Again, your office hours are from 9 to 9:20. And make sure that you're doing all the work. Now, the majority of the work is going to be practice-based. Just the one that I showed you earlier, which is your HRW 6.1, is going to be the one that's graded for this week. Okay? Bye.